Hello and welcome to another What's Inside. Today we are looking at Scrabble for Juniors, New Words Edition 2. This is from 1964, manufactured by the Selchow and Writer Company. And they often call it Sellwright. So this is obviously a copy of Scrabble, and Scrabble for Juniors is still around. But these older copies are pretty cool. It's aimed at ages 6 to 12. And you can usually have several people play. Now, Selchow and Writer made games since 1867, which they advertise here. Bottom of the box is nothing. But the art on the sides is generally art you're going to see on the board. And it's usually the same all around. This copy's a little banged up, as you can see. Got a little beaten over time. So let's open this up and see what we've got in here. This copy should be complete. On the inside of the box are the rules. It's Scrabble. It's pretty straightforward. Most people have a vague idea how to play. But it's got for 2 to 4 players set up. And you can use the reverse side of the board, which we'll look at. General play rules, scoring, and of course the copyright information. The previous edition was from 1958. This is the 1964 second edition. Okay, so here's our board. And it's a regular sized board. You'll of course want to check the seam. That's usually the part that's screwed up, or there'll be staining. There is some age staining on here that you get from normal playing. So we've got different words, of course, already pre-established on here. And it's got some little art. There's a sheep for the word sheep, hen. It's usually what the word is. Girl, you got a picture of a girl. For airplane, then pig, and then yarn up here. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a good sized board. So since it's a standard fold board, they had to fill it in with quite a bit of stuff. Look, an elf. He's not even on a shelf. On the other side, this is usually where the staining happens. As you can see, there's some staining here. Because this one is all blank and usually was the side facing down onto the table, so you'll get some dirt stains or molding. This one's starting to age a little bit, so this is more mildew, mold buildup. Sometimes you can clean it, sometimes you can't, but you have to be real careful because this is paper. So I would look up how to do that if you're planning on cleaning it. So I'll give you a little look at the art there. And of course at the bottom of the board, which is the part you're looking at now, which is probably upside down, it says 1964 on it, so you'll know this is for the second edition. And it does have previous edition copyright on there as well. So later editions, of course, may have had different art, and the earlier edition may have as well. Okay, now the insert, this part here actually is normally not here. This piece would be cut out or pressed down, and there'd be a little tray here. Somebody that had this one before me didn't bother to put the tray in, so everything's just jammed underneath here. So you've got examples of how to play, reverse side of the board, that sort of thing. And this would be the regular insert, where a lot of times later on rules would be placed. Underneath here is all our pieces. We'll look at these separately, but somebody did leave the actual tray piece. Now this is made up of the tiles surrounding it, and then this was like the center piece that was left. And once you popped all the tiles out, you pop this out, and you would have folded these sides in and placed it here to create the tray. So as you can see, there's little wings here to kind of create a tray. So this thing is usually pretty janked up, if here at all, and this part is usually popped out or missing. So that's an interesting little artifact to have. But we'll zoom in on these and take a good look at the individual pieces so you get an idea of what those look like. Okay, so I've laid everything out, and this is just what I have. There may be differences, but I'm not sure. This is, as far as I know, a complete copy of the 1964 second edition, or edition 2 as they call it. I've got 32 of these little red chits, and some of these may have been lost over time, but I don't think so. I think this is complete. So there should be at least 32 of these, and then we've got 11 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, 3 D's, 10 E's, 2 F's, 4 G's, 3 H's, 9 I's, 1 J, 2 K's, 6 L's, 2 M's, 5 N's, 9 O's, 2 P's, 1 Q, 7 R's, 4 S's, 5 T's, 3 U's, 1 V, 2 W's, 1 X, 2 Y's, 1 Z. So as near as I can tell, this is a complete copy. Like I said, some of them may have been lost over time or something like that, but as far as I can tell, this is the minimum that you should have in your copy. So that's the tokens. These are just kind of cardstock. They're actually a lot thicker than I expected. The 60s were pretty good for board game pieces overall. And for a game aimed at ages 6 to 12, you kind of wanted them to hold up if you could, but there was good money in replacement parts, I suppose. But these are pretty sturdy still, and they've held up very well over time. I mean, this game's, what, 50, 60 years old? Pretty solid. These are probably the lower quality just because of their size and the fact that they're easily lost. So you'll want to make sure you have at least 32 of these. But that is the tokens and chits. So if you have more than this, you're probably okay. If you have less than what I've got here, you probably want to look for some replacement parts or try and recreate them as best you can. If you're a completionist like I am, you want to at least have this, because as far as I know, this copy is complete. So here's the pieces. So that is Scrabble for Juniors. There's not a whole lot to the game. There are a lot of little pieces, but beyond that, it's not like a copy of Zombicide that's got 1,000 different little bits and pieces with it. But this is the second edition, or edition 2, from 1964. We've seen what's inside, so that's going to do it for me and wrap up this episode. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future unboxings and reviews. This game is fun. It's Scrabble. So this edition is really good. It held up very, very well. And that is the episode. So thanks as always, and we hope to see you on the next one.